Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Whale Nerds Podcast. This is episode number 100. My name is Slater, and I'm here with Adam and Caitlin.
What's up?
Hello.
Oh my gosh, 100 episodes.
It's somewhere right around our anniversary too. I feel bad that I don't know what day it actually is, but the podcast is about to turn 3.
I can't even count to 100.
I can find out the thing.
Anyways,
just log into Podbean.
Happy New Year again. It's been a while.
It's been a while. We've been a little bit busy. We've been a little bit sick.
Yeah, it's mostly we've been sick.
Yeah, it's just
It's
that time of year. Although it wasn't COVID for any of us.
Yeah.
It's just like the cold and flu season.
I had allergies and stuff down south right around Christmas.
Yeah, I think you're allergic to Southern California in general.
Yeah, I think you really are. I think it's probably the air.
It's 100%. I am.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think that if I live there long enough, I kind of get used to it.
Yeah,
that's not good.
But I think it's my body telling me like you should go back to Monterey.
I mean, every time you go down there, dude, you get sick.
Yeah, I know. And then literally like 2 days of being back here at my place, it's like it just goes away.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I have something to say.
What?
Episode 1, whale watching in California, Whale Nerds, January 29th, 2019. So we still got some time.
10 days.
10 days. We'll just not
10 days.
This one. We'll just push it even further.
You can't do
100 episodes on the anniversary.
Ooh,
no.
That sounds kind of nice. Oh, no? Okay.
No. We've been making people wait long enough. Let's just get
that's
going.
True. It's already the 19th of January.
Yeah, but they don't know that.
Yes, they do.
They do. It's funny.
They know it.
Well, I just want to start by saying thank you to all of you for listening to 100 episodes of the Whale Nerds podcast, or at least some of them, and for supporting us and following us on social media or rating the podcast or supporting us on Patreon. So we wouldn't be able to do all this without you guys.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Y'all are just the best.
I want to know if someone has actually listened to all 100 episodes and the mini episodes.
Yeah, 'cause I think we're at like 111 or something.
Are you excluding me? Because I definitely have.
No, you have not.
100% I have. Guaranteed.
If I'll be honest with you, I've probably listened to like 4 episodes total.
I think I've listened to 0. I've
Yeah,
edited them.
Yeah.
But I haven't listened to them all the way through.
Yeah, no, I've definitely listened to all of them.
It's weird for me. I like can't.
Well, I listen to them because I'm in them, but like
you do. That's why I don't want to listen to them.
Before I was even in them, I listened to every single one. You know.
Yeah, remember Slater? We did the recorded one, and he was staying at your house. And then, like, as soon as we published it, he was like listening to it before bed. And we're like, Adam, you literally just were there in person.
I remember that. Oh, yeah. He was like on his way home or something, right?
No, he was like about to go to sleep on the airbed.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. That's funny, huh?
Oh, jeez.
I'm a nerd, dude. What can I say?
I mean, so am I, but it's just different strategies, I guess.
Different levels for sure.
So, for updates on what's going on with us, if you are interested in going out on an April trip, especially the Saturday, the 23rd, April 23rd date, there's only 7 seats left. So if you are thinking about going, you should book sooner than later, especially for that Saturday date, because I imagine it's going to sell out here pretty soon. We still have about 20 seats left for Friday and Sunday. But once Saturday sold out, I expect those dates to start to pick up and fill up too. So don't want you to miss out on your chance to come see whales and come see a bunch of whale nerds and see whales together with whale nerds. So you can book on our website, thewhalenerds.com/trips. And just want to give you a heads up that we're getting close to being sold out on that Saturday trip. We also do still have merch available for sale on our website, and our new blog feature is available on our website. I'm working on a new post right now. So if you want to follow along there, you can.
Heck yeah.
So and then just a couple other like opening announcement things. We've been talking about Whale Tales Conference, which is put on by Whale Trust Maui. It is now going to be March 26th and 27th as a virtual event. There's going to be live streams, also on-demand presentations. They're featuring more than 20 researchers, photographers, artists from around the world. They're going to do some live Q&A like they did last year. They do have an interactive educational expo to make up for like the vendor hall that they used to have. And they have expanded their Keiki or Kids program. And we are actually going to be putting together a video for the Keiki Corner for the conference. So if you want to see what we're doing, we're teaching like the basics of marine life photography. And they also are going to still do like the photo expedition and like whale watch with experts trips next month in February. So if you are coming to Maui and you still want to do like the normal trips that they do have those available. It's all at whaletales.org. So whale with no S, tales like TALES, like a story, whaletales.org. And the registration is now open for everything. So trips and the conference, all that jazz, you can sign up now. So we're stoked to see how the conference goes. Is this the future? Are all conferences going to be virtual from here on out? I know. But I'm glad that some of them are trying, you know, like trying to make it work and stay close to on schedule. Like some, you know, either were canceled or like rescheduled and then rescheduled again. And it's like, oh my gosh, I can't even.
Yeah, I guess I'd rather have a virtual conference than no conference at all, you know?
Yeah. So, because you still want to hear like what people's latest research is. And
absolutely.
You know, kind of, you feel kind of like rejuvenated after going to a conference. You're like re-energized to like get back out there and teach people about wildlife, and you have more passion. At least I do after a conference.
I agree.
So did you have more info on that Ocean Souls thing, Adam, that you wanted to share with people?
I do. So Ocean Souls is available now. Again, that's a documentary from 100 different photographers around the world and cinematographers. And it's all about cetaceans. It's about their intelligence, their social behaviors, culture. There's a lot of stuff on killer whale culture in there as well. And you'll also see some of my clips in there. And you can find that if you look up the easiest way I found it is to look up their social medias, either Instagram or Facebook, and there will be a link there to a Vimeo. There's a Vimeo link, and I think it's $4.50 if you want to rent it, and then it's $9 if you want to actually buy it, so you can watch it whenever. So definitely check it out. Again, that's Ocean Souls, and it's a really cool documentary. It's fun in the sense that like it's not like a BBC documentary. It's more about the animals and the cetacea and the people that have not only researched them, but photographed them and spent time with them versus just like always being like the best high quality stuff, you know? So super cool. Check it out. And yeah.
Nice. I also have a personal host update in regards to Whale Nerds.
Oh,
I mean, you guys know what it is.
We do. You're about to big baller everybody.
Yeah. No. So what?
Never mind. Now I realized what it was.
Everybody knows Summer Slater.
I posted in our Patreon. So if you're a patron person, you heard about this yesterday. But I am officially a junior fellow of the Safina Center at Stony Brook University. And that's founded by Carl Safina. You may know him from his books. One of the most well-known ones is Beyond Words. And they have an endowment fund where they support people that are promoting the case for life on Earth. So conservation-minded folks that are trying to spread a message of taking care of our planet. So they asked me to be a junior fellow. So they're supporting my work with Whale Nerds and another project I'm working on. And so they're supporting the podcast for the next year, which is exciting.
Essentially, Caitlin's a badass.
Long story short.
Long story short.
So yeah, I'm pretty excited. Very honored. So it's nice to have some support for the podcast and for what we do, because I think our work's important, but it's kind of a niche thing. So it's like, we don't make big bucks off it. We just want to make sure we can keep doing it. So having support from people on Patreon is crucial to that, but then having the Safina Center is also going to be a big deal for us. So yeah. Slater, did you want to remind everyone that you can see wildlife from shore right now before we talk about sightings?
Yeah, it has been really good already along the California coast here. We are seeing a lot of southbound gray whales in kind of clumps. Like we'll see, dozens of them at a time going by, and then there'll be a little break, but it's getting pretty thick. I went down to Big Sur 2 days ago to Garrapatta, and I saw gray whales from the cliffs there.
Nice.
So pretty much southbound's tricky. February should be much better. The northbound migration, the gray whales are a lot closer to the shore. So from now until like May, you really should get to the beach and look for gray whales. At least see their little spouts in the distance.
Yeah, that way you know that you saw a whale. You can say you saw him.
What were we doing, Slater? We were filming for California Seasons, and we went to a really cool little breakfast spot. It was kind of by Davenport. And
was it Whale City Cafe?
Yes.
Yeah, I like
it. It was so good.
Wait, but also when we were filming elephant seals, we walked onto the beach for 2 minutes, and there was a gray whale on the surf, like going past the surf.
Nice.
Yeah, which is cool because it's like a really cool inlet right there.
Yeah. It's a really cool inlet.
Man, that place is so cool.
It is super cool. But yeah, we were sitting at that cafe, and we were like, it was all about whales. They had like gray whales inside, like a bunch of art of them, and we were sitting there like drinking coffee, and we were like, oh, there we go, there's a breach out there. So we're just watching them go by. So it's super cool.
Yeah.
There still are a lot of whales in the bay here. At least Kate saw 3 humpbacks, a mom and a calf, and then a single humpback, and then like 14 gray whales that trip. So there's still whales around, humpbacks and gray whales, and they saw Casper 2 days ago, I think. So
did you see?
Still a good time to go whale watching.
You saw killer whales not that long ago too, right?
Yeah, last week I went out, and it was one of those days where I was like, should I go? Like I was going to hang out with Rod and Andrew. So I was like, and then what do you know? I had a feeling, and I was on my way down to the boat, and Kate called me, and she goes, someone just found killer whales on the radio, because she was listening from her house. And so I got down there, and Rod was he was going to not go for it, because he's like, yeah, but they could be anywhere now. Because like the boat that saw them was not going to stay. They were just passing out to go fishing.
Yeah.
And so we were headed that way when a pod of probably like 200 Rizzo's dolphins were stampeding towards us, and they just blew right past. Actually, we turned with them for a minute, and they got in the wake. Some came over and bow rode for a second, and they were just going. Like,
dude,
I showed
awesome.
Adam the video actually.
Yeah, the video
it's a pretty cool. I've seen Rizzo's go fast before with other situations. Well, with another situation with killer whales and with blue whales, but like it was like 6 up and then 6, like they were just like, you know what I mean?
It was really cool.
Like it was really cool. And
I've only ever seen him play in the wake. I've never seen him bow ride.
So then we turned back the opposite, like the way they were coming from, and like I don't know, I want to say like maybe 1.5 miles, 2 miles further, we ran into that pod of killer whales, and you could smell a kill, like you could smell the blubber, the oil in the air, and I want to say they ate a Rizzo, and then come to find out later, some of them were matched to the ones that Adam and I saw actually eat the Rizzo in the summer. So I'm gonna go with they killed another Rizzo, because
interesting.
And not to mention those Rizzos that we passed like 3 miles out on the outside towards like a little further out towards the edge of the canyon, there was another group of Rizzos going super fast the opposite way. So they must have just like fanned out across the way. Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
That's my one big event for January, I think.
So those killer whales are Rizzo dolphin specialists.
Actually, like my last 2 trips on the water, I had killer whales.
Of course you did.
About it. That's like
December and January can be pretty good, especially December more than January, but they're around throughout the year.
Yeah, for sure. We missed a killer whale sighting by like 8 miles the other day. we like came back in, and like one of our fishing buddies called. She's like, "Oh, we got orcas here." We're like, ah! Like
8 miles is a lot of space on the ocean, though.
It is, but like we like some trips, you know, we're doing 60-mile round trips, so
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
that's what it is. I actually haven't been out in the ocean in like forever, because we had bad wind for a while, and then we had a combination of a huge south swell and that tsunami and our harbor literally was like, we couldn't get out. And the way that the dredge works in our harbor, like they're funded by the AmeriCorps,
Army Corps of Engineers.
Army Corps, yeah. So they have like their own like restrictions and like stuff they have to do, when like they literally could just dredge a channel for us to go out and operate through, but they have to do their own route. So we literally lost like 2 or 3 days to the sand buildup and the sand spit. But I don't know, I think the last trip I was out on, we had those mating gray whales. It was 3 mating gray whales in like absolutely gorgeous water. And the funniest thing, these 2 Rizzos would just not leave them alone. I've never seen that before. It was just so funny. Like, I don't know, like in my brain trying to think about it, like I don't know why they would be so interested in that, but they were ducking in between the whales, like underneath one, over the top of one. It was just so funny. And they were really into it, so that was super cool.
Dolphins get the whales going.
They really do,
especially gray whales, dude. They're like the master of it.
Yeah, gray whales. Yeah.
If you have little kids listening to this podcast with you, cover their ears for a second. But I think the dolphins are like the fluffers for the whales. Like,
really, that's so funny.
Going, like
they really do.
They're like watching a group of gray whales and then a bunch of Pacific white-sided dolphins go by, and all of a sudden they're like belly to belly, and you're like, excuse me, what just happened?
It's just so funny. I don't know why. Like,
I can't tell you how many times in Newport Beach where it's like we're with gray whales and then we see dolphins ahead and we're like, please run into each other. And then like if they, especially offshore bottlenose, oh man, it's like just like
so funny.
Yeah.
I think and so we've seen bottlenose dolphin in the mix with humpback whales here the last 2 seasons pretty consistently, especially in comp groups. And so I just keep like racking my brain, like, what are they doing? Like, is this just entertaining for the dolphins?
Yeah.
Or is there like, especially with the competition group, is there like a bunch of fish gathering nearby because of all the disturbance in the skin in the water and the dolphins are eating? But like most of the time, it seems like the dolphins are right there just watching the whales.
Watching and playing. Like I literally have probably like 20 minutes of drone footage of like these whales rolling around, and these 2, it's just two Rizzos. They're just going all around. They'll come up right next to them. They'll look at them. They're literally like in their tail. Like they'll just like hang out. It's just like so funny. I don't understand.
I don't know if they're just like bored. So like, hey, there's whales. Here's something to do. Like,
right.
Yeah.
It's just so funny.
It's like people go to the park to watch birds. Maybe dolphins go follow whales.
That's what I'm saying. They're doing some whale watching, I guess.
Well,
like, they move so much faster than the whales do. They're so much more agile. So it's like they're probably just like, just zooming around.
That's what it seems like. Yeah.
And they don't seem to, especially in California, they don't seem to really care what type of whale it is. I mean, gray whales, they definitely get them excited, but like I've seen them interact with humpback whales, blue whales. I don't know.
But I don't like. I feel like eventually, like when I've seen them like bow ride blue whales and humpbacks, it's like, they'll do it for a bit and they'll eventually move on. But like these things are just like rolling around with them almost, it's super interesting.
Yeah. Sightings in Maui have been awesome. I mean, we're getting close to prime time right now. Yeah.
So not excited. Prime time until we get there.
Oh my gosh. You are not in charge of the ocean. Your name is Slater, not Poseidon.
I'm not even going to look at any more videos from Maui. All these blue water, everybody's been having friendly encounters all week, it seems like.
Yeah. Yep.
Adam, I'm telling you, it's kind of like, it's not as friendly as the gray whales in Baja, but it's kind of like that. Like they do come over the boat. Like you have, I feel like you kind of have a 60-40 chance. I feel like that's pretty high because like normally what you have like a 10% chance or like 1% chance when they're feeding.
I mean, that's what we get here in Santa Barbara, so like it shouldn't be any different.
Oh, shut up. You are not ready. You know what? You can't
I'm
even
really
come.
not.
If you don't have that attitude adjusted before you get on the plane, don't even come.
He's gonna want to move to Maui.
I'm so psyched.
Adam, literally the first time I went there, I started looking for apartments and like figuring out how I could move there. And then I was like, wait, Monterey has like every kind of
he was he's talking to me on the phone. He's like, dude, I want to just like be there. And I was like, yeah, but the whales are only there for a few months. And he's like, freaking burst my bubble. So, but yeah, we've had some really awesome trips. We had like before I got sick, we had this group like really close into shore in like 25 feet of water. It's huge female. She's like upside down, tail slapping. That's how I could tell it was a female because I could see her hemispherical lobe. Biggest female I've ever seen, and like confirmed it was a female. And like she was thick in the tail. I was like, dang, is this whale gonna give birth right here? Like, what's happening? Wow. And then there was 2 smaller whales, which I think were males, like doing weird stuff, like circling around her. So they were like kind of a competition group, but like kind of not. I don't know. It was really bizarre. And it was in really shallow water right outside the harbor. It was crazy, but super cool to see. And then lots of baby whales, like brand new, teeny tiny little gray ones with the dorsal fin still curled over.
I've never seen a baby humpback. Like
dude, they look like a toy. They don't even look real.
It's like, have you seen a baby gray whale, like a very, very baby, where they like?
I don't really even think so. I've seen one of those.
See, they lift their heads like.
They're awkward.
Like floppy. Yeah. Well, it's like orcas. Like when they're super small, they like do like an extra like.
But then like with humpback whales, because like they have those big flippers and those big tails too, it's like they're so floppy and silly. It's so
disproportional.
Awesome. They're like rolling around and like everything's flying everywhere. It's like not graceful at all. But yeah, lots of moms and calves. I've actually been driving the boat for Selket Kaufman, who's part of our team here at Pacific Whale Foundation. She's doing a documentary. She wants to talk about like the 5 main threats that whales face. And so she's kind of doing it as a story of a mom and calf's journey between their feeding grounds and Hawaii. And so we've been filming a lot of mom calf whales, and it's just been me and her in the skiff some days. And it's been so nice to just
that's super cool.
Be mellow and hang out with little baby whales. And
that's awesome.
We had a great day yesterday. We had this calf breach like as they were swimming for like 30 minutes. And then the day before that on the big boats, in Maui, they call it mugged. We have friendly whales, and they were like underneath the boat, looking at the boat, circling the boat, a couple different trips. And it was a couple different individual whales.
You sent us one of those videos, right?
Yeah, that was the first trip of the day. And then later in the day, we were actually going towards a competition group. And then this other pair of whales popped up nearby. And they were being really weird. They were like kind of rolling around, kind of swimming upside down. And I said to the captain, I was like, I don't know, these ones are being funky. Like, let's take a look, because the comp group was coming our way anyway. And we sat there for like, I don't know, 8 or 9 minutes waiting for this group to come up. And we were about to leave because like there's no wind. So everybody on deck's just like starting to sweat because it's so hot. And then they popped up right next to us. And then we all of a sudden could hear it singing underneath the boat without the hydrophone. Like everybody could hear it through the boat. Oh, it was so cool.
Adam, you're not even ready, dude. I don't think we should bring you, honestly.
I'm not ready, dude. Like what do I bring? Like what do I wear? I don't know.
These wear clothes.
I don't know about that.
Reef safe sunscreen. Dude, you're gonna get sunburned so bad.
I don't get sunburned, all right? I'm ethnic.
Dude, way lower big
tan before I go.
Latitude. It's different.
Yeah, but like
Adam,
just because you're a person of color does not mean you can't get sunburnt or get skin cancer.
I never get skin cancer, but I never get sunburnt.
Watch, he's gonna be French fried when he gets.
Adam, my kids are red already, dude. They're getting ready to red. Just wait till you step off that plane, dude, and you feel the wave of love.
Oh, you know what else we saw a whole bunch of the other day? It was breaching manta rays, like a dozen different.
Yeah, what the heck is that?
Manta rays. That's where you got me.
Yeah, it was weird.
You don't have mobulas there, do you?
No, mantas, spotted eagle
rays. Did you get a freaking picture?
Eagle rays.
No, how can you get a picture, dude? It like breaches and you're like, what the heck was that? And then maybe
Like
it breaches again
like
and
a
you're like,
molar
oh, it's a
breach?
manta ray.
Was it like
Kind of,
a
yeah, like a mola breach. So weird.
So are they gonna be breaching when we get there or
I don't know, dude. They didn't breach yesterday. Just that one day. It was wild.
That'd be super cool.
Adam and I are traveling this year.
Yeah, we are. We don't give a hoot.
We got so I got something cool to tell. I guess
yeah.
Told you guys.
Oh yeah.
So Adam and I are going in February to
Maui.
meet Caitlin in Maui. Yeah. And then in March, so I just got reached out to by Lindblad. I guess is it Lindblad / Nat Geo? I guess they're like partners.
Lindblad's part of Nat Geo.
Lindblad's the expedition part of, I guess, National Geographic, I would say. And they run expeditions all over the world. And they invited me to do gray whales in Baja and Magdalena Bay. And I'm super excited. So I'll be going there in March for 4 days. I don't know exactly what's going on the trip. I know for sure gray whales. It says snorkeling. And then also we'll like kayak through the mangroves and all that because it's super beautiful.
Mag Bay has really good like bait balls and stuff.
And like, water clarity.
Like the swordfish and literally the same 4 days.
I don't know about that though.
Are also the same days that I'm there.
Yeah,
but
you're gonna be
Guerrero Negro. Yeah.
Oh, you're in Guerrero Negro? Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Dang,
cool.
Dude. So yeah, we're both gonna be in Mexico at the same time. I'm gonna call him, speak some Spanish, and I'm gonna hang up.
Yeah, right.
No, you won't even have service on that side of the.
Yeah.
In San Ignacio, you don't really get service.
Yeah, there's no service in San Ignacio, which is fine because
that's fine. I don't like
unplug with the whales.
Yeah,
unless you go find that yellow school bus where you can set your phone up in the dashboard and then get a little signal, and then they can tell you have to go home because it's COVID.
That's what happened last time you went to Mexico.
Bring bad memories.
Oh, geez.
One more thing. All right, I think that's it for now.
All right, so the rest of this is not going to be very much about whales. So brace yourselves.
Wait, what? I thought we were the whale nerds.
We are, but the whales live in the ocean, so let's talk about it.
So we're the Ocean Nerds podcast.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sick.
I kind of wanted to start this year talking a little bit about like the other ways that we can measure what the heck is going on in the ocean, because whales are not our only indicator species, and like our ocean is going through some huge changes, and there's a lot of different ways to measure that, but also just looking at how complex like the issues are. So and then I also had a follow-up from episode 98 when we were talking about like unusual finds in California. I forgot to mention that there were 2 Pacific football fish that had been found on Southern California beaches within like the last 8 months. Well, more than that now. So one was found in May in Crystal Cove, which is down in Southern California. And then the other one was in November at Black's Beach in San Diego. And a football fish is a species of anglerfish found in the deep sea. They're like 2,000 to 3,000 feet deep normally. And so it's just kind of like one of those weird things that you find on the beach. The people said that was like really creepy and weird looking.
Must have died like at some depth that allowed it to float up or something.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
Maybe it was bycatch and just floated into shore, or yeah, I don't know. Weird.
Do you think beaked whales and sperm whales will pass by those things and be like, "What's up?"
They probably whack.
I mean, do you think they maybe just eat them? I don't know.
Maybe they do.
They're not that big. Sperm whale could eat one.
Think about it. A beaked whale could eat one of these things, digest it while it's on its 2-hour dive, and then poop it out before we even get to know. You know what I mean? Like, dude, they're down there for like a whole day.
Damn.
It's actually 3 hours and 48 minutes.
The thing is, they don't really digest while they're on their dive because they pull the blood flow away from their digestive system to increase their dive capabilities and push more oxygen to their muscles.
Get out, nerd.
Dude, what if we don't even like? They have little spines on them. What if they're venomous? You know what I mean?
They probably are.
Like, dude, touch it.
No.
I'll touch it. I'll touch it right now. Bring it to me.
This guy's has it in like a tray, and he's from Scripps, and he's touching it. I'm like, dude, you don't even know. How many people have touched those? You know what I mean?
I mean, maybe he's the guy that touches them.
Yeah, he's the toucher. That's just it.
He's the football fish toucher. Guy.
What are we even talking about right now?
Anyway, so I just wanted to tack that on as more unusual finds in California, other than what we'd already talked about in episode 98. Okay, so let's talk about some hot water. Yeah. Remember that
For my tea or what?
Remember that warm water blob thing, that weird thing that happened in like 2014, 15, 16?
Brought us great whale watching.
Well, I was
It
only
did.
4 years old then, so.
Yeah, I wasn't really asking you,
Adam.
Adam. So, it didn't just happen in the North Pacific off the mainland coast of the United States and Canada. It's had effects all across the ocean. There was an article in The Guardian in March of 2021, and it was kind of a follow-up because like all the scientific data has now been published. In 2013, before we saw the effects of the warm water closer to shore in the US and Canada, there was a massive seabird die-off in Australia. It was 3 million shearwaters, mostly short-tailed shearwaters, that died when they got back to shore for breeding season. And the short-tailed shearwater actually forages in the Bering Sea during the summer. So they go up across the entire Pacific Ocean.
Why does shearwater just gotta go, man?
I know,
Dude,
it's
they just-
nuts.
They just like ate a bunch of sugar and they're just like, I gotta go somewhere. I don't know where.
Like, it's just one heck of a commitment, right?
They
To
do,
just,
they do the figure eight, all of them, or just
the sooties do like that figure eight thing, but I don't know too much about the other species, because the sooties, like, they like shoot up and across, but they're still off the coast of South America. Then they come up further to North America, and then they like go back down, and it like kind of makes this figure eight pattern. But I don't know too much about the other species. But I mean, from Australia to the Bering Sea, that's one heck of a migration.
Holy crap.
So what they were documenting with the birds that were coming ashore dying is that they were underweight, they had low muscle mass, and they were coming ashore either washing up dead or they were in the process of dying when they landed on their nesting areas. They took samples of 172 birds, and they looked at their stomach contents, and 96.7% of the birds sampled had eaten pumice, like that floating rock from a volcano.
Why were they eating it?
So
Does it taste good?
they think that the birds were not able to find food because of the warm water that was starting to form in their feeding ground. And so there had been this eruption in New Zealand in 2012 that had formed these huge pumice rafts. And they think the birds were just picking up the pumice because they thought
Hummus
it was
sounds
food.
good.
Hummus.
They
Hummus
thought
they
it was
could
hummus.
eat.
They thought it was hummus, but it was
just-
hummus.
Yeah, the thing is the one bird had an accent. Things got to, so,
It's from the Mediterranean.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
some pita bread.
this is like a really long, drawn out like set of events that came together that led to this, and then they needed to involve geologists to solve this puzzle. That's why they just wrote it up in 2021. This is like 9 years in the making. So 2012, a seamount off the coast of New Zealand erupted, a bunch of pumice rafts formed. They were still floating in large rafts in 2013. These birds did not forage very well in their normal summer feeding habitat, encountered these rafts during their migration, ate the rocks, and then that left them feeling full, but not actually
Getting nutrients.
getting
or
any
anything.
nutrients. Kind of like seabirds and plastic, same crisis, where they feel
Yeah.
full because they can't digest, but they're not getting any resources.
And I guess they don't
So-
have the greatest taste buds, right? Like they probably didn't know it didn't taste like.
Yeah, I mean, and then the thing is, like, with the plastic, especially when like a little bit of algae gets on it, it smells like rotting food. And so even if they were using like their sense of smell to figure out if it was food or not, they're still getting the wrong signal and still eating it.
Mm.
So the study was published in Marine Ecology Progress series. So if you want to look at the whole thing, it looks like a pretty interesting paper. I kind of skimmed through it all. And so I thought this was like just a good example because like science takes a long time, right? And it really does need to be interdisciplinary. So if they would never have consulted those geologists, they would have never figured out where the heck this pumice was coming from.
That's super interesting. It's just everything's connected, I mean,
yeah,
we know that, but it's in different areas and different populations. And interesting.
Yeah. And then just thinking about like this was a pretty big bottleneck event. You're talking about 3 million birds died. Yeah. And this could potentially have a generational effect for these birds, for them as a species, because they are so loyal to very specific nesting areas. But also just as a population, like if you lose 3 million birds off one island, like, and they only nest on 3 islands, period.
The genetic diversity is just shot.
Yeah.
Your gene pool is really going down.
So they're just, especially seabirds, are so sensitive to events like this.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I just thought, I was like, dang, that warm water blob thing was so complicated. It was happening years before we realized, these effects were just building and compounding, and it was pretty crazy. So then I found this other article on CNN that's just a little quick one. It was there's actually a southern blob in the Pacific Ocean as well. And it was hot ocean conditions caused mega droughts thousands of miles away in Chile. So I didn't know that there was a southern blob, but there was a hot water anomaly in the Southwest Pacific as well. And that, I mean, it wreaked havoc in the ocean, but it also changed the way the rainfall circulated in the southern hemisphere. And it created a drought in Chile, which was thousands of miles away from the actual pocket of warm water. Like, dude.
Which makes sense, right? Because if the trade winds stop and that warm water blob slushes back across the Pacific, well, wouldn't that mean it's
or if like the warm water, if the warm water is sitting further offshore, then it rains over the ocean instead of over the land, and then it never makes it to the land. Like,
yeah,
that
makes sense.
Crazy. Okay,
I'm gonna start having these blobs all over. I feel like
I don't like blobs.
I hate that it's called a blob. Like, that's the best word we could come up with.
I mean, we just talked about a freaking football fish, so
isn't there a lot of that's science name, that's scientific names being
it really is
related to like regular, I don't know.
Well, it's like, why the heck is a sperm whale called a sperm whale? There's a little antelope out there called a dick. Like, who came up with that?
Well, a lot
of DIK though.
Yeah, but a lot of things are named after people's like last names and stuff too, or like
which that makes sense. Stellar guy, like, he got his name on everything.
Baird waffles, Baird sir, like they just kind of. You know what I'm saying.
So this last part of the episode, I wanted to talk about the saga of the kelp forest in California, because that has been like a very noticeable effect of the warm water blob and some other things. So the first paper I found was the State of the California Current 2019 to 2020. Is it a back to the future of marine heat waves? It was published in Frontiers in Marine Science in August of 2021. And it basically kind of gives a recap of like what the effects were of the warm water blob, and looking at it between the years of 2019 to 2020, when things kind of quote unquote went back to normal. And it talks, I mean, if you want to read it, if you're a nerd about this kind of stuff, it was a very good paper. It talks about invertebrates, larvae, fish, birds, mammals, interspecies interactions. But overall, what happened was warm water and offshore species continued to mix with cooler water and inshore species, despite the heat wave being over. And there were plankton and forage fish components in the food chain that were still mixing cold and warm water too, which was like really weird and not a normal set of interactions. Some species of birds did do better in light of the cooling ocean temperatures, but still not like a perfect recovery for many bird species. And they're sort of throwing this normal idea out the window now. They're saying that like we haven't seen a normal pattern for the California current for the last 7 years, despite the warm water blob event being sort of over. and even like the Pacific Decadal Oscillation, which is like a normal 10 to 20 year cycle that affects the California current that used to be very predictable, is now not predictable at all. They're saying it's very disrupted. So what the heck does this mean for the California current for the future? I don't know. I just started to feel like I was like going through this downward dark vortex spiral thing, and was like trying to not freak out that everything was unraveling. But my impression is that like, especially for marine mammals, but any marine animal, if you're a generalist, like if you can eat a lot of different things, you're going to do better in the midst of all this unpredictability. And that animals are just going to keep showing up in weird places, like common dolphins in Washington. And then there's going to be animals that like you don't see anymore because the environment's not suitable for them.
I wonder how blue whales are going to do.
Blue whales,
so
I have
annoying.
a feeling, are not going to do well.
I kind of feel like our kelp forests here, like in California, I guess on the West Coast, it's kind of like the equivalent of the coral bleaching in other parts of the world.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're going to see that because it's going to be like, and they have kelp projects all over the place, but it's like, one day we're going to go out to go whale watching, and there's going to be like no kelp forest to look at on the left. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
so is with this warm water, like is the counter current still like, is that still like strong and warm? Like, is that what's affecting the California current? Because when the warm water sloshes back across the Pacific, when the trade winds stop, like, is that counter current just being enforced or what?
You know,
about that at all?
I think it does talk about that, but I don't remember off the top of my head what they said, but there is a section in there about that.
We'll have to go through it.
So then there's quite a saga of studying the kelp forest that spanned across all of 2021. I found all these different articles. So it was like an interesting twist and turn of events. So we'll start with Smithsonian Magazine in March of 2021 covered an article calling Northern California kelp forests are collapsing. And so kelp forest coverage in Northern California has been becoming less and less. It's been decreasing since 2013. Sonoma and Mendocino counties have seen bull kelp in particular decline by 95% since 2013. That's like, there's like no kelp left. And they're saying that similar events or several events happening at the same time could be causing such a large collapse. So it could be because of sea star wasting disease. So the urchin's competitor as a marine grazer and also as just a predator. There's less ochre sea stars and way less, almost no sunflower sea stars. They're actually presumed to be functionally extinct south of the Oregon and Washington border.
Really?
Yeah. And then so between the shift in predators in the kelp forest and then the warm water, they think those two things came together and have destroyed the kelp coverage for Northern California. And they say that they have seen a lot of urchin barrens form and they aren't going anywhere. Like they're continuing to persist.
Have you seen that video of the diver who just goes around plucking the sea urchins? Yeah. Dang, we're gonna have to. It's gonna be like a full-time job.
I know, but then it's like, you'll see him like smash one and like the fish eat it, and it's like, okay, but what about all those larvae that you just released because you smashed it? You're just gonna make more urchins.
Yeah, but you think he wants to not have a job, Caitlin?
Well, just don't smash them. So
it is cool to watch the fish go, though. I would probably do it.
So this researcher named Meredith McPherson from UC Santa Cruz, the way she kind of summed up the whole turn of events was there was a lot of disruptions at one time that led to this collapse, and the system now is persisting in this altered state. While sea otters do eat urchins, they prefer the larger and better fed ones where there is kelp coverage, not the lean ones that occupy urchin barrens. So the skinny or like underweight urchins have the ability to survive in these starvation conditions, but then they're not like tasty for people or otters to eat. And so my overall like impressions off that article, I just kept thinking about like kelp forests are such an important shoreline structure, just like you were talking about with coral reefs later, and losing them is going to have a big effect, like not just in the ocean. And
they're like our mangroves. Like,
yeah, exactly. It's a shoreline buffer, but it's also a place to shelter juvenile fish. So like what's going to happen there? Like our fish population is going to suffer. It's a place where carbon gets fixed and oxygen gets produced near shore. And so then it's like, what else is going to continue to fall apart if we lose kelp?
What
are our whales gonna eat?
We're starting 2022 off on a depressing note.
Okay, well there's some like weird twists and turns of events here with this kelp story. Okay.
Caitlin's gonna save the world.
I don't know about that, but there's more to the story.
She's gonna save this podcast, that's for sure.
Okay, so then there's a Washington Post article from July of 2021. So a couple months down the line, talking a lot about the same stuff as the previous article, but they shared some cool facts about kelp. They say kelp forests can capture 20 times as much carbon per acre as a forest on land.
And a kappa.
I will actually include a bonus article where they got that quote from in the Facebook comments, so you can look at that. But isn't that cool? 20 times more than a forest on land. It's a kelp forest. And actually
so much better.
Yeah, literally, the ocean is just everything. How do people don't understand? God, it's literally life.
The freaking biggest carbon sink that there will ever be.
So we gotta save it, right?
Dude, that's why you think I'm here.
Get motivated.
People will say it's fake, so it doesn't even matter.
Oh my God. Okay, and then another fact that they quoted was kelp forests around the world are showing signs of collapse. And they actually think that kelp forests worldwide have declined by 33%. So it's like, what? So it's not just California where this is a problem. And I will include the link to that article as well. In the midst of the sea star decline, urchin populations have increased 100 times their original numbers before sea star wasting disease.
Bruh.
So this talks a lot about Nature Conservancy and what they're doing to solve this problem in California. And they do have volunteer divers collecting and smashing the urchins, like we just talked about. But my question is, does it release, like, what if they're fertilized eggs and then the larvae you're just distributing them? But anyways, and then they're looking at possibly using urchin shells, like the carapace, for is that the right word? Shell, carapace, skeleton.
It starts with a T. It starts with a T. It's a T.
No, just give me a moment here and I'll do some
Google
research.
it for me. But anyways, they're looking at using it for fertilizer.
A test. My brain.
That's what I was thinking.
I literally
in my last science class I took. It was all the tip of the lips. He didn't tell me.
I just know that because I was literally walking the beach with Havala last night, and that she was like, "This is an urchin test." Test. And that's the only reason why I know that.
Yeah.
So they're thinking maybe they can use the test for fertilizer, kind of like oyster shells or like egg shells or something. Then they're also trying to help promote a market for purple urchins for food and attempting to create like an uni fishery. But the hang up there is that a lot of the urchins that occupy the urchin barren aren't. They're like starving, so they're not really
sought after.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's also a project going on with Star Aquaculture. So they're trying to grow sea stars in a controlled environment, get them to more of an adult size, and then put them out in the environment so they can maybe fare better in the midst of sea star wasting disease, because basically that's like, I'm pretty sure it's like a virus that then makes them susceptible to a bacterial infection, and then that's what actually makes them melt. It's like a multi-step illness thing that causes that wasting disease. So, but they commented with the Star Aquaculture that you literally would need hundreds of thousands of sea stars to be able to compete with the urchins at this point, with how many urchins there are. But maybe doing like this multi-angle approach will help get make some progress.
What about
and they
just
are
1,000 otters?
I think otters are a little bit harder to breed in captivity than sea stars.
Sure.
There's a lot more ethical questions since they're vertebrate mammals.
Farming, yeah, we're gonna start farming otters.
Yeah, but if we farm them and release them into the environment, then.
And then there's also talk of kelp aquaculture, trying to reseed those barren areas.
That's really what we should focus on.
Yeah. So,
but you can't really do that if the urchin are still there, because it's just gonna be decimated.
Yeah, but maybe if you could kind of get the kelp back to more of a normal coverage, then put in sea stars and remove urchins, maybe that would be enough to shift it. Yeah. So that's what Nature Conservancy is kind of working on. So then the last article is talking more about that alternative state that McPherson was talking about. And so this is from Bay Nature, which is more of a local San Francisco Bay Area publication. This came out in September of 2021. And there's some good news. Even without any intervention from people, the beginning of 2020 showed a little boost in kelp coverage on the California coast. And then by summer of 2021, the kelp coverage actually looked even better, despite the heavy urchin coverage. Good. So some interesting facts that they shared is that, how I said urchins can persist in starvation conditions for a long time? Well, they actually put a number on it. They said they can live for decades in starvation conditions. And then there's other places where this has happened, like off the coast of the Aleutian Islands and off the coast of Tasmania, where urchin barrens have persisted for decades, despite the urchins having nothing to eat.
Yeah.
Dang.
And then they also talked about coastal Hokkaido in Japan, and they have had an urchin barren present there for over 100 years.
Do they used to have otters? Did they used to have otters over there? Bet you they did.
I don't know. Probably. Maybe. It seems like the right habitat.
Bet you they did. Fur trade.
So scientists are now trying to understand the recovery and looking at like this idea of alternative stable states. So it's a paradigm of alternating ecosystems that are in the same location under identical conditions, just at different times. So like urchin barren versus healthy kelp forest, same location, same environment, just different times to shift this like stable state circumstance. So one ecosystem state dominates the space and persists until some sort of powerful environmental disruption creates a rapid transformation, and then a very different ecosystem takes hold in that same physical space. So another way to explain that is like a grassland in certain parts of the world is an alternative stable state to a forest. Not every grassland and forest are opposite stable states from one each other, but there are some places in the world where you could either have a grassland or you could have a forest. And maybe your disruption is like a fire.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was going to say the two are interchangeable, or like, a fire in a grassland can then germinate a forest.
Yeah. So the marine heat wave is the environmental disruption that shifted from the kelp forest to the urchin barren. The recovery of the kelp since 2020 is sort of bringing that idea into question, though, because maybe the urchin barren state isn't as stable and persistent as we're thinking.
I mean, it's exactly that same example. Forests and grasslands, the two go back and forth with fires,
Mm-hmm. And it could be more a factor of the water temperature than it is about the urchins at all. So kelp has been recovering in areas even when there was no culling of urchins. So they did those efforts to take them out with the divers, but even in the areas where there was no dive removal effort, there's kelp coming back.
I wonder how like the extent of our history on urchin barrens, like how far does our record go? Because who knows if it's just a natural succession process, or like, it's
so
just
there
a natural
is
way that it happens.
I don't have like any of the data easily accessible, but there is quite a good record of kelp forest coverage on the mainland of the United States, because they actually used to use kelp as part of potash in munitions. So like during the war efforts, even like World War I and World War II, they were harvesting kelp as an ingredient to make firearms or ammunition for firearms. So they had a pretty good set of maps of where kelp was to harvest.
That'd be interesting to compare.
So,
well, and also like the kelp, this like seaweed that you can buy like for the snack.
mm-hmm.
I forget where. Yeah, I forget where they're going, but it's kind of destroying certain parts of the world. Them farming that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure I read something on it. Wasn't there a documentary on it?
Probably.
I don't know. Maybe. I do know that kelp can be a really good renewable food source. But in the midst of all these things happening, it's like, how do you know what's responsible? Like I get an ad on my social media feeds every once in a while for this kelp project in Alaska that they like sell like the kelp as pickles, like pickle slices. And I was like, that's kind of cool. But one, the carbon it would take to get that kelp from Alaska to me is not worth it to me environmentally. And two, I haven't done my own research about how the kelp is being aquacultured. I think it can be done very sustainably.
It grows so fast, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and
dude,
you could just suspend it.
Bulk kelp can grow like 2 feet a day at some points.
Yeah, and then you look at the way they farm kelp, and it's its own suspended floating kelp forest, so it's good for the local environment as well, because they're not putting a bunch of stuff in the water to make the kelp grow. They're just providing a structure for it to grow on.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
Adam, you and I watched that documentary. I forget what it was about.
Is it? Oh, it's the blue. Oh, it's the. It's another section of Ocean Souls. It's the Ocean Souls production team. What did they do? Hold up, I'll find it.
Yeah, because I watched it with you, and I remember
we
talking
did.
something about them like going to another country and like taking all their kelp or something, and it was kind of.
It's just actually hilarious that that's what it is. Hold on.
Yeah, I knew.
The Blue Forest in 4K. You can watch it right now if you just look up Ocean Souls films on YouTube. It's a whole 35-minute documentary. Yeah, it's called The Blue Forest, and it covers kelp forests around the world. Super cool.
Ooh.
What are the odds?
So if you want to know more, but if you didn't get enough kelp from this episode, there you go. But one thing is for certain, after all these things we just talked about on this episode, our ocean ecosystems are going to continue to decline in the midst of a warming ocean.
Even after a severe blob.
We are creating so many disruptions and changes in the marine environment on all levels that if we keep heating this thing up, it's not going to work right.
We're going to be able to make spaghetti in the water.
We're going to make miso soup, and it's not going to go well.
I like spaghetti better.
Spaghetti's not as salty, though.
Whatever.
Dang, anyway. Dude.
So, yeah. So, what can you do? Reduce your carbon impact, whether that's what kind of food you buy, how you're getting your products delivered to you, or where you're buying them from. Can you switch to a more environmentally friendly mode of transportation? What can you do to reduce how hot our planet is getting?
We should do a
Can billionaires stop going to space and burning up all of those emissions for no flippin' reason?
Yeah, let's just spend that money on the ocean and fix our planet instead of going to look at other planets.
Like, you want to tell me you want to find the best carbon capture? What? So you can keep sending more rockets to space and burning all the carbon you just captured?
Why don't we take the money from SpaceX and invest it into urchin divers that will take out all the oceans?
Kelp forest aquaculture.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Well, I guess I'm more hopeful than I was 15 minutes
I didn't
ago.
save the world in this podcast, but
maybe the
you
next
learned
one.
about kelp.
There's always the next one. We're at 100, so.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about climate type news for the next couple episodes. So
you can only go up from here or down.
We're going to go somewhere. I don't know where.
I don't know which direction, but.
So if you made it this far listening to us talk about hot water and kelp, thanks for sticking with us. Can we do a secret whale of the week, or should it be a other secret animal of the week?
How about a part of a kelp?
I'll say a secret kelp too. Yeah.
How about the pneumaticist? That's the floaty balls.
Pneumaticist.
That's the floaty balls.
Why don't we give them something they could actually spell?
A holdfast.
Holdfast. Okay, let's do a holdfast.
It's the bottom of the kelp that attaches
If you
to
just
the
write
rock.
kelp, I won't be mad at you.
Dude, I have to think about what Instagram post we're gonna do. We have to do something.
The otter in kelp. Don't you have one
No,
of
how
those?
about my gray whale and the kelp or
Ooh.
bottlenose? Maybe not.
Ooh. We do have whales and kelp options as well.
We do have whales and kelp.
Or what about inverse?
A kelping.
Blasting the kelp off his head.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, I have that photo somewhere. I'll find that right now.
Yeah, even whales like to shoot it out their blowholes.
Thanks everyone for listening, supporting the podcast, following us on social media.
Welcome
Thanks
back.
for following us on Patreon.
One more thing.
What?
We want to send our thoughts out to those affected by the tsunami in Tonga. A lot of whale watch friends over there, and we hope everybody's doing okay and is safe.
And anybody else.
And anybody else was affected.
Yeah. The mainland of the US looks like a lot of harbors got hit pretty hard. So
yeah,
we did okay in Hawaii. I'm happy to say we did okay.
We did okay here too.
Closer.
The island, I mean, at least in Maui, like the island of Kaho'olawe blocked most of it. So
man, it's like we don't need to get into it, but it flooded Santa Cruz Harbor and like
I'm glad your boat was out of the water, Slater.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, seriously.
All right. Thanks everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.